Cuba made progress on education. Yes, I think, really? Really?
Calm down, you oppressed masses. You just don't get how wonderful this is. That's what Bernie's done on Cuba now for 50 years. Right now in Cuba, there is a mass protest movement going on. People are going out and protesting the Cuban communist dictatorship, and the government is clamping down. The president, or the dictator rather, of Cuba has come out and said they will do anything they can to preserve the regime, up to and including using violence on the citizens, which they're currently doing right now. They're maiming people, beating people, and actually killing people in the streets. And those crickets that you hear right now are from Bernie Sanders. Because Bernie Sanders, who very nearly was the Democrat nominee for president twice in 2016 and 2020, longtime Democratic senator, very long time gadfly, he's been in politics for 50 years. Bernie Sanders has spoken in very positive ways about the Cuban dictatorship.
What I said is what Barack Obama said in terms of Cuba, that Cuba made progress on education. Yes, I think, really? Really?
Do I support their economic policies or their political policies? Of course I don't. But you know what else? Cuba produces a lot of physicians in this country. And you know where they go? They go to poor countries around the world doing a lot of good. By and large, Cuba's educational system for a poor country is pretty good. When Castro came to power, they did a lot to eliminate illiteracy in that country.
But I remember, for some reason or other, being very excited when Fidel Castro made the revolution in Cuba. I was a kid and I remember reading that. And it was just seemed right and appropriate that poor people were rising up against rather ugly rich people. I was watching the debates. You remember the famous Nixon-Kennedy debates. That was the first time the presidential candidates actually debated. Kennedy was saying that Nixon was too soft on communism. Usually I'm sufficiently unemotional not to be sick, but I actually got up from the room and almost left to puke.
He almost left to puke. He was so upset because Bernie Sanders has supported communism in those terms, right? The guy honeymooned in the Soviet Union. It doesn't get more supportive than that. And now what we're seeing is the people of Cuba, long oppressed by an evil, evil system of government, rising up against that. And Bernie has nothing to say. He has nothing to say because he obviously does not speak for the Cuban people. He obviously does not speak for the oppressed masses. I mean, this is the problem that the Marxist revolutionaries had going back to the days of Karl Marx, namely that they had all these wonderful theories for the liberation of the oppressed masses, but the allegedly oppressed masses didn't like the theories very much. Turned out that the oppressed masses actually liked their own traditions and their own countries and their own families and rituals. They didn't like the crazy radicalism. This is what you're seeing right now with Marxists, avowed Marxists in our schools and in other institutions. And you're seeing the actual oppressed masses in America coming out and protesting and saying, I don't want my kids being taught this stuff. You're seeing black mothers, white mothers, Hispanic mothers showing up to the school board saying, look, we don't have a ton of money to send our kids to private school. We don't have a ton of time to homeschool. We've got to send our kids to these public schools. And you nutbags are coming in and saying that we've got to teach our kids critical race theory or teach our kids critical gender or radical gender theory. And the elites are saying, well, no, these are actually wonderful ideologies for you. They're going to liberate you. They're going to help you. Calm down, you oppressed masses. You just don't get how wonderful this is. That's what Bernie's done on Cuba now for 50 years. And it turns out it doesn't work out very well. So he's not going to continue to defend it right now. He's just got to remain totally silent, as the Biden White House, by the way, has done until just recently. Hey, stop. I'm really glad that you enjoyed all that terrible right-wing misinformation that I just was spreading, recklessly around the internet. If you want even more of that reckless misinformation, go check out the full episode, which is available now on this channel. It's also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, all over the place at The Michael Knowles Show. And you can also order my book, chock full of deplorable, terrible right-wing misinformation. Go get that too. That's Speechless. We'll see you next time.